Welcome to the Past in Pictures channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. A train filled with German civilians expelled from Czechoslovakia arrives in Bavaria in United States-occupied Germany in 1946. Exhausted, the refugees disembark with few belongings after a long, difficult journey. The image portrays the human drama of forced migrations in post-war Europe. A man drinks water at a public fountain marked for separate use on a street in North Carolina in 1950. Next to it, a more modern fountain is reserved for a different group, reflecting the racial segregation of the time. The image starkly exposes social inequality in post-war United States. A child in Uganda holds an adult's hand in a gesture of affection and protection. The photo, taken during a humanitarian mission, shows the contrast between the hands, one small and delicate, the other steady and caring. The image symbolizes hope, solidarity, and human strength in the face of hardship. A man is photographed seated and restrained by a metal frame at the West Riding Asylum in England. Wearing clothes typical of psychiatric institutions of the period, he represents an era when physical restraint methods were widely used to treat patients. The image reveals the dark, rudimentary side of mental medicine in the 19th century. After applying a special kind of plant fertilizer to the apple trees on his farm, A.L. Butts observed an unusual situation. On September 9, 1937, on his property, some grasshoppers were reported to have grown to about 3 feet long, according to accounts of the time. An airship loses stability and crashes during tests in a remote area of the state of Nevada in 1957. The craft was part of an experiment conducted by United States authorities. The image records the dramatic moment that revealed the risks and challenges faced in the aeronautical research programs of that era. Mriya became famous in the 1940s for extraordinary performances in which he allowed objects such as swords and needles to pass through his body without causing visible wounds. He claimed to possess unusual physical resistance, drawing both curious crowds and doctors interested in studying the phenomenon. Actress Sophia Loren is shown smiling with her arms raised in a 1955 photo. A European and worldwide film icon, she charmed audiences with unique charisma and talent. The image reflects the start of a brilliant career that would make her one of cinema's greatest symbols of elegance and beauty. During an ice hockey game in Sweden in 1959, part of the frozen lake where the match was played began to give way unexpectedly. The ice cracked near the goal, surprising players and spectators. The game was halted at once, turning a sporting moment into a scene of shock and improvisation in the Scandinavian winter. A soldier poses wearing protective and combat equipment developed for the British Army during the First World War. He uses a reinforced steel helmet and a gauntlet with an integrated blade, both designed for close combat in the trenches. The image highlights the ingenuity and brutality of the era's combat innovations. A worker cleans the inside of a 15-inch gun barrel at Coventry Ordnance Works during the First World War. She was hoisted into the tube, where she used hand tools to clean the grooves of the bore, known as rifling. Local residents look at the wreckage of a German Heinkel He-111 bomber in a rural area of Humby, East Lothian, Scotland. The incident occurred in 1940 during the Battle of Britain, when intense air combat struck British territory. The image records the direct impact of war on civilian communities in the countryside. Patients with poliomyelitis and arthritis rest on hospital beds on a terrace in the United States in the early 1900s. At the time, people believed fresh air and sunlight helped recovery. The practice was part of a common therapeutic approach before modern medical treatments advanced. An elegantly set table with china, candles, and flowers is seen in a 1946 photo during the Nuremberg trials period in Germany. Above each seat, ropes hang in an unsettling way, creating a contrast between the formal arrangement and the symbolic weight of the historical moment. The image reflects the tension and justice that marked the post-war era. A worker is photographed wearing a helmet with a deep mark on the top, likely from a heavy impact. The words, July 15, 1969, were written on the helmet to record the incident's date. The image symbolizes the risks faced in industrial work and the value of protection that saved a life that day. Astronaut Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the second human to step on the moon in 1969 during the Apollo 11 mission. The iconic image, captured by Neil Armstrong, shows Aldrin with the lunar module reflected in his visor. The moment symbolized the height of the space race and the achievement of a dream that once seemed impossible. A circus performer appears inside a compartment full of crocodiles in Berlin in 1933. The act was staged in a glass aquarium car designed to impress the public with apparent danger. The image illustrates the era's fascination with extreme shows and the constant search for new forms of entertainment. Ella Harper is portrayed in an 1885 photo. Born with a rare condition that caused her knees to bend backward, she walked using her hands for support. Known as the Camel Girl, she gained attention in curiosity shows of the time. With the money she earned, she invested in her education and sought a life away from the stage. Georgia Holt, mother of singer Cher, poses beside her 1957 Ford Thunderbird in a photo from the vibrant golden years of American car culture. The model, with elegant lines and sporty style, represented luxury and freedom. The image reflects the optimistic, glamorous spirit of the 1950s in the United States. Corporal Jackie, a baboon with the South African Army, served during the First World War in 1915. He wore a uniform, marched with soldiers, and even had his own rations and an official pay book. He became a mascot and symbol of loyalty, accompanying his battalion on several fronts. Soviet soldiers aboard a GTSM amphibious vehicle feed 2 polar bears with cans of condensed milk during a mission in the Arctic. The scene, recorded in the frozen northern regions, shows a curious interaction between people and wild animals. It is a rare light moment amid the harsh conditions of polar expeditions. The original Hollywoodland sign was installed around 1920 on Mount Lee in Los Angeles. Created to promote a housing development, it ended up becoming one of the city's greatest symbols. With the San Fernando Valley in the background, the sign reflected the start of the golden age of American cinema. Nurses walked through trenches dug between the wards of a field hospital in 1918. These protected passages were designed to ease movement between buildings during the First World War. The image shows the ingenuity and dedication of medical staff amid the war's harsh conditions. 3 men study an electric chair installed at the Cook County Jail in the United States in 1927. The equipment, used as a judicial instrument at the time, represented the strictness of legal practice in that period. The image conveys the serious technical setting in which justice was carried out in the early 20th century. A girl happily watches a group of ducklings swimming in a small basin beside her hospital bed in a 1956 photo. Lying down and connected to medical equipment used for respiratory treatment, she smiles at the gentle scene. The image symbolizes tenderness and hope even amid the limits of illness. A rare image shows the profile of Tutankhamun's head, photographed by Harry Burton in 1925 during excavations in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. The record was part of the official documentation of the discovery led by Howard Carter. The photograph reveals the precision and respect with which archaeologists handled one of ancient history's most important finds. A former American combatant returns to the village of Idlewild in France, decades after a memorable moment lived there in 1944. In the upper image, he appears in full uniform guarding a captured soldier in front of a stone house. 78 years later, he visits the same place, now at peace, wearing civilian clothes and noting the changes in the setting. During a fashion event in 1947, a model from the House of Dior had her clothes tugged by people in the streets of Paris. The episode occurred at a time of social tension when some saw haute couture shows as symbols of excess in times of scarcity. A frozen fountain on Washington Boulevard in Detroit becomes an attraction during the severe winters of the 1940s. The moving water turned into thick layers of ice, creating an impressive natural sculpture. The scene symbolizes the power of extreme cold over the American cityscape. Edward Llewellyn proudly poses beside a gigantic Pacific black sea bass caught in 1903. The fish, which weighed about 425 pounds, was considered the largest specimen recorded at the time. The image became a landmark of early sport fishing competitions in the United States. An employee carefully examines products on an assembly line in Birmingham, England, in 1915. The site was part of the Mills munitions factory, which ran at a fast pace to meet the demands of the First World War. The image reflects the essential role of women in the war industry during the conflict. Patients received treatment in steam cabinets at Milledgeville State Hospital in Georgia in 1908. The compartments kept the body immersed in moist heat with only the head exposed. This method was used at the time to ease pain and treat skin and circulation ailments, reflecting early 20th century experimental medical practices. The Antonov An-225 Mriya was unveiled in 1988 in the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. Designed to carry the Buran space shuttle, it impressed the public with its colossal size. With 6 engines and a wingspan of about 289 feet, it was the largest airplane ever built. The display symbolized the height of Soviet engineering. Men pose inside a huge 45 metric ton steel pipe section during construction of Hoover Dam in 1935. This structure was part of the system that diverted Colorado River water to the turbines. The image highlights the grandeur and monumental engineering of the project that transformed the American West. A massive steam and hydraulic forging press, rated at 15,000 tons of force, is shown in operation at the Friedrich Krupp AG works in Essen in the 1920s. This machine was used to shape large metal parts with industrial precision. The image symbolizes the height of German heavy engineering in the interwar period. During an official parade in London in 1981, a 17-year-old is caught trying to disrupt the progress of Queen Elizabeth II, who was riding in ceremonial dress. The episode caused a major stir and led to immediate intervention by royal security. The image captures one of the most unusual and tense moments in the history of British parades. Workers undergo X-ray exams at the end of each shift at the Kimberley diamond mines in South Africa in 1954. The procedure was used to prevent smuggling of gemstones hidden on the body. The image reveals strict control and the harsh conditions imposed on miners during that period. The Mona Lisa is carefully uncrated in 1945 after the end of the Second World War. During the conflict, Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece had been hidden in secret sites to prevent damage and theft. The image marks the moment when the legendary painting returned to the safety of the Louvre Museum in Paris. The first Coca-Cola delivery in Knoxville, Tennessee, takes place in 1919. The photo shows a truck unloading cases of bottles in front of a local store. This moment marks the brand's expansion beyond Atlanta and symbolizes the beginning of Coca-Cola's consolidation as a global icon. Charlie Chaplin is photographed beside Winston Churchill on the set of City Lights in 1929 in the United States. Chaplin directed and starred in the film, considered one of his greatest works. The meeting between the filmmaker and the British statesman marked a rare moment shared by two of the 20th century's most influential figures. Freddie Mercury and Brian May perform on stage in Montreal in 1981. Freddie, with his unmistakable energy, sings while Brian plays guitar behind him. The band Queen was at the height of its fame, captivating thousands of fans and securing its place in rock history. Steven Spielberg talks with Harrison Ford and screenwriter Melissa Matheson on the set of E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1983. Melissa, who wrote the script that brought the moving story to life, would later become Ford's wife. The photo shows a rare, easygoing moment behind one of cinema's most memorable productions. Nikola Tesla is photographed in 1898 beside his induction motors in his laboratory in the United States. Based on alternating current, these motors transformed how electricity was used. The image symbolizes Tesla's visionary genius and his essential role in modernizing the industrial world. Marilyn Monroe poses on an M29 Pershing tank during her visit to American troops in Korea in 1954. The actress took part in a special tour to entertain soldiers after the end of fighting. Her presence charmed thousands of service members and became one of the most remembered moments of her off-screen career. Marilyn Monroe is photographed sitting in an armchair with her ankle immobilized after a sprain during filming in the mid-1950s. Even injured, she keeps her signature charm in front of the cameras. The image reveals the human side of the star at the height of her fame in Hollywood. Ringo's star, Paul McCartney and John Lennon appeared during the Mad Day Out in 1968. The informal photo session moved through several locations in London, capturing spontaneous moments of the Beatles. The images became an iconic record of the group's final phase. Sophia Loren is photographed at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood on July 26, 1962. Elegantly dressed, she was attending a special event at the legendary cinema. The site, famous for immortalizing stars with hand and footprint casts, was honoring one of international cinema's greatest actresses. Tippi Hedren has her cigarette lit by a crow during the filming of The Birds in 1963. She played the lead in Alfred Hitchcock's classic, known for its intense suspense. The scene shows the unusual relationship between the actress and the birds that brought one of the director's most iconic films to life. Protesters marched through the streets of Chicago in the 1920s, holding signs that read, "We want beer." The demonstration expressed public dissatisfaction with prohibition, which banned the making and sale of alcoholic drinks. The image symbolizes civil resistance during one of the most controversial periods in American history. An African-American employee prepares a meal for the family that employs her in a home in the United States during the 1950s. Captured in color with Kodachrome film, the image shows an organized kitchen with utensils and appliances typical of the time. The scene reflects domestic life and the social divisions of the period. French cyclist Alfred Le Tourneur is photographed pulling a 22-foot Airstream trailer with his bicycle at Van Nuys Metropolitan Airport in California in 1947. The demonstration was done to prove the model's lightweight and efficiency. The image combines innovation, creative advertising, and American confidence in post-war technological progress. Alexei Pajitnov, a Soviet programmer, is portrayed in the 1980s when he created the legendary game Tetris. Developed while he worked at the Soviet Academy of Sciences, the game quickly became a worldwide phenomenon. Its simplicity and challenge won generations, making it one of the greatest classics in video game history. A woman chooses her meal at an auto motor mat in Hollywood, likely between the 1940s and 1950s. These innovative drive-ins let customers order and receive food without leaving the car. The concept combined convenience and modernity, reflecting the American post-war lifestyle. Pope John Paul II is photographed skiing on Mount Adamello in Italy in 1984. Dressed in ski clothes and holding poles, he shows his vitality and love for outdoor activities. The image reveals a relaxed human side of the pontiff, known for his charisma and energy. A rare, behind-the-scenes image of the show Laugh In reveals the other side of the iconic joke wall in the late 1960s. On the air from 1968 to 1973, the show defined an era with fast humor, psychedelic looks, and short sketches. The photo shows the creative, chaotic atmosphere of its innovative production. Customers gather at a McDonald's in the 1950s with cars parked in front of the building, lit by colorful signs and fluorescent lights. The structure shows the chain's original design with its iconic golden arches and angled roof. The image captures the height of consumer culture and the American post-war lifestyle. The TWA Flight Center at New York's then Idlewild Airport, now John F. Kennedy International, was designed by Eero Saarinen and opened in 1962. With its elegant curves and wide spaces, it became an icon of the jet age's futuristic architecture. In operation until 2001, the building remains a symbol of post-war technological optimism. Employees work behind the counter of a McDonald's in 1976 wearing colorful uniforms typical of the time. Mechanical cash registers and the menu posted above the counter reflect the chain's vintage style. Prices ranged from 25 to 65 cents, capturing a nostalgic phase of American fast food culture. A group of women take part in a Tupperware party in Sarasota, Florida in 1958. These home gatherings became a social phenomenon in the United States in the 1950s. Besides presenting new products, they fostered friendship, women's entrepreneurship, and a new style of household consumption. Bob Marley, Mick Jagger, and Peter Tosh were photographed together backstage at the Palladium Theater in New York City in 1978. The meeting came after a memorable show that brought together major names in world music. The image symbolizes the fusion of reggae and rock at a historic moment in pop culture. A contestant waits backstage at the Miss Soviet Union beauty pageant in Moscow in 1988. This was the first event of its kind since pageants were banned in 1959. The photo captures a mood of expectation and change in a country beginning to make room for new cultural expressions at the end of the Soviet era. The cast of the American television series The Munsters appears in a promotional photo taken in 1964. The show premiered in September of that year and aired on the Columbia Broadcasting System until May 1966. Mixing humor with a gothic look, the series became a pop culture classic and a playful portrait of an American monster family. Women work as welders at the Brooklyn Navy Yard in New York City in 1944. During the Second World War, they took on traditionally male jobs, keeping production going while many men served overseas. The image symbolizes the strength and essential contribution of women in the American war industry. A curious 1950s invention features brushes attached to the feet, letting a housewife clean the floor while reading or doing other tasks. Created as a symbol of household practicality, the accessory reflected the era's technological optimism. The image illustrates the inventive spirit and humor found in post-war innovations. A man is photographed wearing Oxford Bags trousers in 1930 in England. The style, characterized by wide, loose legs, had extremely broad cuffs that covered almost the entire shoe. This fashion began among Oxford students and spread as a symbol of elegance and rebellion of the time. Raquel Welch is photographed in a photo shoot during the 1960s when she became one of the great icons of film and fashion. With striking outfits and a bold style, she gained international fame after her role in 1,000,000 Years BC. The image reflects the height of her elegance and charisma in Hollywood's golden era. In 1957, some drive-in restaurants in the United States innovated by offering cool air to customers waiting for meals in their cars. Small portable devices were attached to the windows and connected to ventilation systems. The invention reflected the creative spirit of the car age and the comfort typical of the American post-war period. Workers halt the assembly line at a Ford plant in Dearborn, Michigan on April 10, 1947 to honor Henry Ford at his funeral. The collective gesture symbolizes workers' respect and gratitude for the man who revolutionized the auto industry and transformed modern production. Mary Ann Trump, born MacLeod, is shown as a young woman in 1930 before leaving Scotland for the United States. Born on the Isle of Lewis in 1912, she immigrated seeking a better life and new opportunities. Years later, she married Fred Trump, becoming the mother of future businessman and President Donald Trump. George Harrison of the Beatles is photographed taking a selfie at the Taj Mahal in 1966. With a small camera in his hands, he records his visit to the iconic Indian monument. At that time, Harrison explored new spiritual and cultural influences that would deeply shape his life and music. A Romanian non-commissioned officer flashes the victory sign on New Year's Eve in 1989, shortly after the revolution that ended the communist regime. He celebrates the close of decades of authoritarian rule and the hope of a new beginning for the country. The image symbolizes the spirit of freedom that swept Romania at that historical moment. Representatives of the United States meet again, for the first time since 1942, to set minimum quality standards for tea. The initiative sought to ensure safety, taste, and origin of varieties imported and consumed in the country. The meeting marked the government's effort to regulate a growing post-war market. A British soldier poses beside a horse painted with stripes during the East African campaign between 1914 and 1918. The paint imitated a zebra's look in an attempt to create camouflage in the wild African environment. The image illustrates the creative, sometimes experimental strategies used on First World War fronts. A woman poses seated on an alligator while holding a giant megaphone inside the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum during the 1930s. The unusual scene was likely staged for promotional or advertising purposes. The image blends humor and extravagance, hallmarks of the creative campaigns of Hollywood's golden era. Protesters display a sign reading "Yankee, go home" during a demonstration in Berlin in 1948. The scene took place during the Berlin airlift, when Western allies sent supplies to the city isolated by the Soviets. The image reflects the political and ideological tensions of the early Cold War in a divided Europe. Professional wrestler Maurice Tillett is seen greeting a man in a 1937 photograph, often mistakenly identified as cartoonist William Steig, creator of Shrek. Tillett, known as the French Angel, inspired comparisons with the character decades later because of striking features caused by acromegaly. A chimpanzee gently feeds a leopard cub at Southam Park Zoo in 1971. The rare scene shows the primate helping care for the small animal under the keeper's supervision. The image moved the public by revealing a gesture of affection and cooperation between different species. Lumbermen pose beside huge redwood logs in California during the early years of logging in the region. These giant trees, some thousands of years old, were felled with simple tools and intense manual labor. The image portrays human strength before nature's grandeur and the impact of early industrial activity. Two women rest on a bed wearing metal neck rings, a traditional cultural practice of ethnic groups in the region of Myanmar, formerly Burma. These rings are added gradually over a lifetime as a symbol of identity and beauty. Three children pose outdoors wearing handmade costumes during a Halloween celebration around 1920. The outfits, made of simple fabrics, pointed hats, and curious masks, reflect the popular creativity of the time. The image captures the charm and mysterious mood of old Halloween traditions. Guns used by German troops are displayed on the streets of Paris in 1919, shortly after the end of the First World War. The imposing artillery pieces were placed as war trophies, symbolizing the Allies' victory. The scene marked the return of national pride and the start of Reconstruction in the French capital. Federico Caprilli is photographed in 1906 making an impressive descent on his horse down a steep slope. The demonstration was part of the Italian Cavalry School's training, where Caprilli revolutionized military riding techniques. The image cemented his innovative style and the harmony between rider and horse. Workers take a lunch break seated on a steel beam high above Midtown New York City in 1932. The iconic image was captured during construction of the RCA building, now 30 Rockefeller Plaza. It symbolizes the courage and spirit of workers who helped raise the city's skyscrapers during the Great Depression. A group of men pose in a studio in 1910, while one of them shows impressive physical strength by supporting the others in different positions. This kind of performance was common in shows and circuses of the time, celebrating endurance and body control. The image reflects the public's fascination with strength and balance displays in the early 20th century. Two people pose at the entrance to a popular attraction in Detroit, Michigan, in the early 1900s. The facade was done with a flashy look, full of colors and ornaments, typical of entertainment halls of the time. The image reflects the vibrant spirit of urban entertainment at the start of the 20th century. Young people gather at a disco club in East Germany in 1976, dancing under colored lights to the music of the time. The clothes reflect the vibrant fashion of the 1970s, with bell-bottom pants, patterned shirts, and full hair. The image captures a rare moment of ease and freedom amid the rigid political setting of the eastern side of Germany. People enjoy the seaside wearing bathing outfits typical of the 1890s. The women wear long garments with sleeves, collars, and skirts to the knee, while men and children wear light fabric one-piece suits. The image reflects the modest customs of the time and the beginning of the popularization of leisure at the beach. Shepherds of the Landes Plains in southwestern France used stilts in the early 1900s to move over wet, uneven ground. The practice let them see long distances and watch their flocks efficiently. This curious tradition became a regional symbol of old rural French life. An elephant helps load supplies for an American airplane in 1945 during operations in Asia. These animals were used for their strength and their ability to handle flooded, difficult terrain. The scene shows how traditional and modern methods came together in wartime to overcome logistical challenges. A Swedish rural mail carrier is portrayed around 1900 wearing his winter uniform. Dressed in a heavy wool coat, gloves, and a fur cap, he faced long journeys in snow and intense cold. The image reflects the dedication of workers who kept communication going even in the most isolated regions. Albert Einstein stands with his son Hans, Albert Einstein, and his grandson Bernhard Caesar Einstein in 1933. The photograph was taken shortly after his arrival in the United States, leaving Germany amid the rise of Nazism. The image shows the family side of the genius in a rare moment of calm during major changes in his life. Jane Mansfield walks through the streets of New York City with her daughter Jane Marie in 1953. Both smile, wearing elegant clothes that reflect the style of the 1950s. At the time, Mansfield was taking her first steps toward the fame that would make her one of Hollywood's great icons. Fidel Castro speaks with actors Maureen O'Hara and Alec Guinness in Cathedral Square in Havana on May 13, 1959. The meeting took place during a visit to the set of the Columbia Pictures film Our Man in Havana. The photo records a rare, relaxed moment of the Cuban leader in the early months after the revolution. An electric car is charged in a residential garage in the United States in 1911. Plugged into a simple outlet, the vehicle shows the pioneering nature of early electric mobility. Long before modern cars, engineers were already exploring quiet, clean options for urban transport. Harry Nilsson and John Lennon are escorted out of the Troubadour Club in West Hollywood on March 12, 1974. That night, both had caused a disturbance during a local band's show. The episode became one of the most discussed moments of Lennon's turbulent period known as the Lost Weekend.